Treksploration.
Hello and welcome back to Treksploration. I'm Albie.
And I'm Chris.
And today we are talking about Star Trek Discovery, Season 5, Episode 8, Labyrinths. And
windy, twisty, turny labyrinths.
It's Que esta uno sans biblioteca, por favor episode, right?
Donde está la biblioteca? Por
That's
favor?
The one. Yeah.
I think that's from Wild and Crazy Guy.
Maybe. But this is the library episode. I think it's only maybe the second episode where Star Trek goes to the library. Is there a different one? I don't know. And this is the actual library, not Mr. Atos, right?
Atos, yeah, that's more of a CD library.
Yeah, that's
so.
True.
That's more
not
of a future. It's the future
The
library. That
future.
one.
I'm not ready for you yet.
Right, and he's got to leave soon. He's got to jump out before the star goes nova.
Go back
Poor
in
Mr.
time.
Atos.
Hey, it's a way to do it, I guess, if you figured out time travel before space travel. But that's not what we're talking about today. How you doing, Chris?
I'm all right. I mean, I think I'm better than anybody living back in the witchy times of the Atos planet and or the glacier times of the Atos planet, also known as an ice age, I would guess, because you got to think there's always glacier time somewhere.
Somewhere. There's always a glacier somewhere. Even
There's always glacier time somewhere.
Rennie and I watched Encino Man, the Laserdisc, last night, which was the 32nd anniversary. It came out on May 22nd, so pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah. Just happened.
Do you always do you plan your viewing around anniversaries of obscure movies that nobody cares about?
It just happened because we were looking at the Laserdisc jacket. You know how there's always like a copyright date on Laserdisc jackets and DVDs and stuff? We were looking.
I do not know that. No, but thank you.
Well, I learned from you the other day about how you can tell the original press
in a book. Yes.
Book, so
yeah,
we're learning. But usually there's a copyright date, whether the artwork, the packaging, or when the original movie came out. So we were looking for like what year, because I was like 90s, something like that, maybe. And couldn't find a date on the disc label, on the packaging, nothing. So we had to look it up. And the internet said May 22nd, 1990 something, whatever 32 years ago is.
32 years. Wow.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? That's a long time. But they had sub ground glaciers. I don't know what that word was in the middle there. There was beneath the ground glaciers. That's the only way the story works.
Subterranean?
There you go. Subterranean glaciers right in Encino. So it was really hot up there, but you dig a pool and you got frozen ice with people in them. And they're Oscar winners. Yeah.
Listen, it's like Brendan Fraser was in that, right?
Yeah, Brendan Fraser and Short Round Data from Goonies,
Like I never saw Encino Man because I'm not a Pauly Shore fan. However, I am a Brendan Fraser fan, and now you're telling me this is the second movie that Brendan Fraser was in early in his career, where he was underground in L.A. and then came back out.
Yeah, he's really good at that.
I guess I was thinking of Blast from the Past yesterday or the day before.
That is one of the most sought after Laserdiscs ever. Blast from the Past.
Is it really?
So expensive, yeah. For some reason, I don't know
why.
I think it is maybe a small run or something.
Oh, all right. That's
might have been
fantastic
one of the later
movie.
One.
If you can find it, I might join you on the 33rd anniversary of Blast from the Past.
All right, that's always a good one. That's a way to time travel, right? You just stay underground for a while, whether it be
stay
frozen
underground for a little while.
Yeah.
I think I was thinking of it because a Perry Cuomo song came on 40s on 4, or now it's just 40s Junction, right?
I listen to that all the time. Yeah. We both listen to that. I usually do, what do I do? Like the 90s on 9 or the 2000s or 2010s. But if nothing's on there, then I go to the 40s.
Gotcha. I'm usually classic vinyl, classic rewind. Surprise, surprise. A middle-aged white guy who likes classic rock.
You know what? I like the old-time radio. Like when I'm driving late at night and driving home, it's always like a murder mystery or something. That's always fun.
Yeah, I'll put that on when yours truly, Johnny Dollar, comes on. I have to stay in the driveway to hear how it ends. And I love the old-time one. Yeah,
what sucks is if I get home way too early to hear the end, I got to go on the internet and find it to just find out who done it.
It's always my favorite when I just happen to be, like, say, driving up to Schenectady and it's the middle of August and they're doing their Christmas in July. So I can listen to a whole bunch of Christmas shows in the middle of the summer.
Yeah. Those are always good.
So,
I like.
So there was never a Star Trek Christmas episode. We already had this discussion.
Yeah,
There
we
was one
talked
in the
about
Nexus.
Yeah, that's it. Only because it was a dream, so it was allowed.
Right. Okay, all right. I was trying to steer it back to Star Trek, but
Star Trek Discovery, season 5, episode 8. Now, it's not the penultimate. What's the word that for the episode before penultimate? Is it sub-penultimate, pre-penultimate?
Pre-penultimate. I like pre-penultimate. I was going to say penultimate.
Is that a word, though? Is there a real word for that?
I mean, penultimate is enough, right? This was just one in the run.
Yep, one in the run.
This is third to last.
Third to last. Okay, we'll take that one. Season 5, episode 8. Original air date, May 16th, 2024. Writers are Lauren Wilkinson and Eric J. Robbins. Directed by Emmanuel O.C. Kufor, I think.
Kufor, yeah.
Yep. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, but appreciate your directing skills in this episode. So thank you.
Thank you, Emmanuel.
Yes, Emmanuel. Ooh, remember those movies?
No comment. This is a family show. But yes, and yes.
That is right. That is right. I have some of those on Laserdisc. So, Chris, can you remind us what this episode is about with the professional published author, Christopher D. Philippus, version of the episode synopsis?
Yes, I worked really hard on this one. The hunt for the final progenitor clue has led the Disco to an immense floating space archive hidden in the Badlands, with the Breen hot on their tail. But the clue turns out to be a nucleonic, is that right? I'm saying that right?
Yeah, I think so. It sounds good.
Yes, a nucleonic emitter that zaps Michael into a mental mindscape. As she struggles to win her inner fight, the Disco crew must fight rampaging Breen forces. Speaking of whom, though prisoner of the Breen, Maul is sowing doubt about Rune's fitness to lead the Imperium. This time on Star Trek Discovery. What's it called? Labyrinths.
Labyrinths.
I keep wanting to say mirrors.
Don't say mirrors. Not watching that one again. I sent you a whole bunch of Labyrinth stuff because Gates McFadden was the choreographer for the movie Labyrinth. Did you know that?
Oh, really? You sent me Labyrinth stuff. See, you just ruined the surprise.
Oh, you didn't read my text?
No, I didn't read your text. I got which are we? We're not talking about my latest doorstep find.
No, not at all.
Oh, okay. Then you didn't. Okay, then
no,
you
not
didn't
what was on the stoop.
surprise.
I sent you links to videos of Gates. Well, actually, Cheryl McFadden talking about her work on Labyrinth. So,
why did she change her name?
That was just always her nickname, and I don't know. I think Gates McFadden is better than Cheryl.
Yeah,
it's
catchier, right?
Yeah, Cheryl McFadden sounds like somebody who'd play the secretary. Maybe a character actress. I don't know. Cheryl. I mean, I'll call her whatever she wants. But she likes Gates.
Gates has some cachet.
Yeah. I think she talked about that on the Shuttlepod show. It was like her uncle's or grandfather's name or something, so it became her middle name. I'm not sure. And
it's a good thing she changed it because Investa Cheryl is not a good name for a podcast.
Investa Cheryl. I'd still watch it. So, Chris, do we do first impressions now?
Yeah, sure. Why don't you lead with your first impressions of Labyrinth?
My first impressions of Labyrinth.
Labyrinths.
I like libraries. I found parts of this episode entertaining and exciting. It didn't make me mad. I got bored at times. But I liked other times. It was okay. It's just okay for me, dog. What about you?
Okay. I just want to start out by recanting my whole thing from last episode of Disco, where I thought that it was going to be very interesting to see the royal machinations of the Breen Imperium a la Game of Thrones, because, well, that didn't really stand up for me this episode, but quite frankly, on the whole, I enjoyed the rest of this episode. Again, I'm a sucker for libraries, as you know, and I thought that the set for this was just fantastic. So I enjoyed every time they were on screen doing all the Federation stuff. I got through the Breen stuff, I guess, and I really enjoyed the ship stuff, the Disco stuff, this episode. I like the setting of the Badlands. It kind of reminded me of the Mutara Nebula. And I liked the guest star. Her name is not was, because she's still with us. Her name is Elena Watko, and
she
she
was
played
good.
the Afrosian archivist, Hyrel. Hyrel was the name of the character.
I wrote down Ms. Atos.
Yeah.
I enjoyed her. I enjoyed her line delivery. I enjoyed her character. I enjoyed the actor portraying it. I liked everything about her. Yeah, she seemed cool. Her, along with a couple other things in the episode, almost gave me like the best parts of Strange New Worlds vibes. Like I was really entertained and kind of happy with those parts. Yeah.
All right, so yeah, so there's a lot to dive into there, but for the most part, I don't know if it's the best episode of the season. I wouldn't go far. I wouldn't go so far as to say that, but it was one that I've enjoyed the most. One of the ones I've enjoyed the most this season. So,
all right, I'm sure we'll talk about that and much more. But first, let people know how they can get the full version of this show and all the other shows we're doing.
Yeah, if you want to dive into the stacks with us, you see what I did there. You can always like us, subscribe, and share. Of course, patreon.com/Treksplorers. That's where we have our main community of Treksplorers. We invite you to go there, patreon.com/Treksplorers, to see all of the videos that we have. If you go and you join for a very low level, you can also get a podcast version of this show, and you can see all of the full length episodes. What do we give? Like a 30-minute preview if you're not.
That's what we've been doing, about 30 minutes, just to give people an idea what we're talking about, see if they want to join our crew or not. You know, for the price of half a cup of coffee walking around Target a month, you get all the everything stuff.
Hours and hours of Albie and me going on about Star Trek in all of the fun ways that we do. So that's patreon.com/Treksplorers. You can always comment right here on YouTube, youtube.com/@Treksplorers. I think they do it now. It's kind of weird on YouTube these days. You can also find us on Instagram @TreksplorationPod. You can X us @Treksploration. Always send us an email. Please send us emails, TreksplorationsPod@gmail.com. You can get us by phone at 707-847-6682. And of course, you can go the old fashioned route and drop me a letter at the P.O. Box, P.O. Box 542, Bayport, New York, 11705. Send me your Afrosian fan art, please. I'd love to see it. So, P.O. Box 542, Bayport, New York, 11705. So
I knew we would get better than that, and by we, I meant you, because I'm not going to get better at that. You're really good at that.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I finally had the key of writing down everything I want to say, instead of just 2/3 of the things I want to say. So, and also, you throw me, because I used to do this at the very end of the Quantum Leap podcast, and we do it now at the very beginning of Treksploration. So, it was tough for me to get into the vibe. But yeah, like we said, we're finding our way, and I think we're getting a little bit better at that as we go.
I think so. Do we have different levels we can tell people about?
Yeah, we have different levels. You can go there as on patreon.com/Treksplorers. I think the first level is Cadet. That's for $5 a month. Second level is Lieutenant Commander, and that's $17.01 a month. The third level is Captain, and I believe that's $47 a month. The next level is it Badmiral?
Badmiral, I think, yeah.
I think it's Badmiral for night.
No.
Which?
Well, is it for eight? No, which one is 8472?
That's what I was going to say. Maybe Badmiral's is. Would you put $1,000 a month or something for Badmiral?
I should go there. Don't get Badmiral. I'm going to see our levels. Let's see. Cadet.
I think
Lieutenant Commander. Right. 1701.
Right.
And Captain 47, which we have Captain Charles. Oh, a Voyager.
So I was right so far. Oh, Voyager.
We don't have any Voyagers yet. Maybe when
I always block out Voyager, so that's why I'm not, not big on Voyager. Yeah. So, and then we have the Badmiral level, and what is that?
Yeah, don't get that. I close the window.
I dare you to say. I dare you to say how much that is a month.
Okay, let me look. Let's see. 84.72 a month is a Voyager, and for $1,000 a month, you can be a Badmiral. which is early access to all our bonus video episodes, including all the everythings and the behind the scenes access, names in the credits. And the big one with that is also the Captain's Roundtable, but an exclusive custom episode of your choosing quarterly and more. So
There
that's
you go.
like podcasting for hire.
And can you describe for me the Captain's Roundtable?
Captain's Roundtable, yeah. So at the end of every season or thereabouts, we'll be doing one for Disco, including Captain Charles from Texas. So far, he's our first Captain Charles. We'll just be having a little discussion with our listeners, our viewers, our community, our crew, and we're going to invite all the captains to be on a rather large segment of our show for the final episode of a series or season. Awesome. So kind of like a wrap up episode, in those parts, and then we can actually get to see and hear what people that in our crew, in our community, are thinking about what we're doing.
That is going to be so much fun. Yeah. I love reaching out to listeners and or viewers. I always have to say viewers now. I'm so podcast centric. I'm sorry. So both listeners and viewers, we love hearing from you, and it's always great to get a dialogue going. One of my favorite things over at Quantum Leap Podcast is our old boy segments where I get to talk to the fans. So I'd love to bring that dynamic to Treksploration as well. And as a captain, you can take part.
Yeah, I'm excited. So right now we have the one captain, but there's always time to upgrade before the end of Disco. We have what?
Yeah.
A week from tonight is the final episode of Disco. So about a week.
Yeah, we're a little behind the 8 ball. So the fact that Albie and I are about a week behind, that gives you time. We might pour it on to get it out with the finale. But
yeah, maybe
you take your chances.
Rally.
All I'm saying, Treksploration, patreon.com/Treksploration.
Yeah. Then the next one after that would probably be the end of Next Gen season 1. So we'll see.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm excited to talk to Captain Charles in person online, on video. That'll be interesting. And I believe we have an announcement. Someone, I'll let you do it, Christopher.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, I mean, it seems that one of our Treksplorers has gotten a promotion. Wow. Everybody give it up for former cadet Scott Seligman. Scott is now a lieutenant commander. Congratulations, Scott.
Congratulations.
We should blow the bosun's whistle or something like that.
Lieutenant Commander Scott Siegelman. Is it Siegelman?
Seligman. Scott Seligman. And as Lieutenant Commander, you enjoy all the privileges and responsibilities that position entails. So thank you, Lieutenant Commander Scott Seligman. You join the ranks of our other Lieutenant Commanders, Cosplay Dad, One of All, and Fantasy Fan. And we're all, of course, reporting to Captain Charles from
Captain Charles.
So thank you guys, all of you guys, for your continued support.
So congratulations on that, Scott. Wow. So I think that means our crew is doing pretty good.
We'll be mailing your pips soon, pips. Scott. So
virtual pips.
I'm not mailing pips, Scott.
No,
that was just for
it's not real.
It was theater of the mind.
Make believe. But congratulations on the PIP ceremony. And we only had one promotion this time, but it was a great promotion. So congratulations, Scott. We're counting on you. Damn it, man. We need you. Now that you're a lieutenant commander, you're invaluable to our crew. So thank you, Scott.
Wow. I just got a real gnarly flashback of Kirk in the transporter room and Bones with his beard. I need you. I need you.
That's what I was going for. Okay. So that worked out. All right. So before we dive into Labyrinths, Labyrinths, do we have any feedback?
Yeah. Speaking of our new Lieutenant Commander, Scott Seligman, he wrote us in response to a discussion we had for Araga or I think it might have been Whistle Speak. We were talking about on one of them whether or not the Bible had been quoted in Star Trek ever.
Oh, yes.
How. Anyway, Anyway, in broad strokes, that's what it was. And Scott had a memory. He writes on Sisko and the Bible. In Far Beyond the Stars, Sisko's father did quote the Bible, though it was mostly a way of breaking the fourth wall, that sort of thing. He says near the end of the episode, quote, "And if I failed, I have fought the good fight. I have finished the course. I have kept the faith," end quote, calling back to the priest he played in Sisko's vision. I always loved that beat, but it's really hard to justify outside of its place in the telling of the story. I completely forgot that Joseph showed up as a priest in Ben's vision in Far Beyond the Stars.
It's not a memory of that episode that I go back to, really. It's usually Sisko and the whole process, and then, of course, everyone out of makeup.
Everyone out of makeup, and he's got a sweet radio in his room when he's writing. So we'll be doing a radio sighting for that one for sure.
Oh,
There's
please.
also a radio
That would be
in
awesome.
City on the Edge of Forever has a radio as well.
Yes, Joan Collins, right?
Yep.
Right.
So, yeah, I seem to remember it as Ida Lupino, but I guess we're living in the Mandela universe, and now it's Joan Collins. But I just remember the Ida Lupino version of
it. Joan Collins was mentioned where in a joke somewhere. On Friends. Rennie and I are making our way through Friends Blu-ray set, and Joan Collins was one of the jokes, and she had no idea, and I was like, Edith Keeler, and then she left.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
some of the jokes are aged on that. So
I guess.
Dudley Moore movies. That was a joke. Like the punchlines were Dudley Moore titles of his movies, and just.
I gotcha. Whatever happened to Dudley Moore? I know he got sick, but he had just a string of hits all throughout the late 70s and all throughout the 80s too. I mean, he was a force in Hollywood.
I'm going to say drinking. No, wait, that was Arthur.
No, that's Arthur.
Maybe he got with Bo Derek and decided not to work anymore. Who knows?
Let's have that ending for him. That's a good ending. Yes, the 70s and 80s when men like Dudley Moore could get women like Bo Derek in the movies anyway.
In the movies, it really made us want to achieve higher than we could in life. Us mere mortals.
Yeah, right. Aim high, right?
Watching King of Queens,
How do you know if you don't try, right?
You just try. You go, I'm a 2, you're a 10. Together we're an 8. You know, I don't know if that's the right.
Together we're 12. It's getting better than that.
Well, there you go. So that's interesting. Yeah, my favorite Bible thing about Star Trek and quote is I think it's from South Park. They're like Bible, Star Trek, same thing.
Okay, I'd never heard that before. Yeah. Let's figure out that episode. We'll do a special episode all about that.
There you go. I mentioned it here and there.
There you go.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for
Lieutenant Commander Scott.
Yes, Lieutenant Commander. We will be now invoking your name when we get to Far Beyond the Stars, so we can say that's Scott. Scott pointed that out. That's the Bible verse. That's Scott.
Now that Scott's Lieutenant Commander, do we call him Mr. Scott?
I think that one's taken.
Oh, is that one's taken? Okay.
Yeah,
I'm sure we'll get there.
We have some more feedback from Captain Charles from Texas.
Captain.
And this one is about Erica. He writes, I enjoyed Erica for the most part. My family was also annoyed with Maul's attitude. Thank you. I feel seen. And annoyed with the show for forcing stupidity on the security staff. We really liked the HQ stuff. Reno is always awesome, but those scenes seemed like busy work for Tilly and Adira. I like that the Breen are getting fleshed out more post DS9. Finally, I am digging Culber getting to doctor more often this season. He leaned too far into the ship's counselor role last year, and it's good to see him do his real thing. The Starfleet HQ stuff in this episode was good, and we should have seen more of this earlier in the 32nd century seasons. Tarina seems like a secret badass, and I wish we'd had a chance to see more. I called that out last time. Tarina being able to speak Breen was next level stuff. That was pretty cool. I feel like we saw so much of Starfleet HQ in the Orion season because there were so many scenes with just Vance and I forget the name of the Orion pirate that was the big bad.
I forget her name season. Too. I enjoyed her performance. I didn't like the makeup, but I enjoyed her performance.
I kind of like the makeup because they toned it down a bit. Have you noticed Discovery's penchant for just putting extra crap on established races? Like they made the Andorians like have weird cheeks. They almost look like they had two little antenna hanging out here.
I was going to say a
like
third antenna in the middle too. That's kind of weird.
They were kind of slug-like, and they didn't do the Enterprise version of the antennas where they actually move and react. I think Enterprise did the best Andorians.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, everything on Disco starting way back then, even when it comes to the Andorians, just look like a bunch of plastic on everybody's faces.
Yeah, I guess you either like it or don't. So
yeah, I guess
I don't mind it. I minded the Klingons, but other than that,
frankly, they got their looks right.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see. And Charles also sent us a correction because I was listening to a what?
Cortrection.
A cortrection. I got that. I see what you did there. Because I was listening to my friends on that Star Trek podcast, they had mentioned the fact that they didn't think that they ever took the Trill symbiont out of Adira. And as far as I remembered, they were absolutely right. But Charles did a little bit of research, and he went to Memory Alpha, and he did quote a couple of different episodes from last season, maybe even the season before, that dealt with the entire process of building Gray a new body and reincorporating Tal into it. So I guess the symbiont is back on Trill in Gray where it belongs. And
in the android Gray, will live the robot Gray,
happily ever after. Robot Gray.
How does that work?
Real Tal. I don't know. Maybe the symbionts are like, like vultures. Maybe they like vultures, and they could get and attach to anything, and that's how they're so long-lived. You know, who knows?
I knew Charles would know. Captain Charles would know. So thank you, Captain Charles. Yeah, I was very confused on that in a gray area. I was like, gray, and I didn't know where. But I guess maybe they're just holding on to the last name, like a married name versus a maiden name kind of thing.
Yeah, but again, I mean, that's like Ezri Tegan. If she got rid of Dax, I think she'd go back to being Ezri Tegan.
Probably.
Did Jadzia have a name before Jadzia that we know of?
I don't know. I didn't even know Ezri's last name. You got that one on me.
Yeah, well, I like DS9, and
I like DS9.
I like the character of Ezri. I've said this. I think I wrote this somewhere, but the only problem with Ezri as a character is she's a season 1 character thrust into season 7 of a series. That's really the only problem with Ezri. Otherwise, people would have liked her just fine. I know that she gets a little bit of heat, but I do like Ezri a lot.
I loved her.
Anyway, so but going back, I think had she gotten rid of Dax, she'd go back to being a Tegan and working in the family mine, because that's what you do in the Federation. Or if you're not in Starfleet, you go work in a mine. That's basically how that works.
Or an orbital mine. I don't even know how that works.
You got to ask the Romulans about
that. Okay. So thank you for the correction, because I was confused. So now we know. Interesting. Yeah. Because if they still had the Trill in them, that would have been a storyline that just got totally dropped, as far as I know. Did I miss an episode? I don't think I did. I think I watched it all. Might have just blocked it out.
Yeah, this is really endemic of Discovery overall to me. Anyway.
Although I think it's might find its own in the last 2 episodes. You know, it might find its feet finally. I'm hoping.
Finally, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always hope, as Spock was fond of saying. There are always possibilities, right?
There's always possibilities. Right, one thing I enjoyed about this is Reese got to sit in the captain's chair. Had more than one line. How about that? There's other actors on the show.
Who'd have thought? Who'd have thought that there were competent people on Discovery besides Burnham and the guest of the season?
Yeah.
I mean, because we sure know that Tilly's not competent yet, and Adir is certainly not competent, and Stamets doesn't want to sit in the con, so he's down there doing his thing. Mm-hmm. Hugh is highly competent, but he's on his own weird journey because it's so weird. And that's his scientific explanation of it being weird. So, yeah, it was nice to finally see the bridge crew on its own without the shadow of Michael looming over everything and sucking all the oxygen out of the room, quite frankly. I feel like we could have liked Reese a lot more based on just this small performance. They finally gave him something to do. And imagine if Owo and Detmer were back on the bridge. And maybe there would have been 3 characters that we care about, and say, oh, there's Linus too.
Exactly. I don't know. I say give the lead a week off, and do a Lower Decks at least once a series, right? Or at least a bridge crew version of Lower Decks.
So you sent me an article though about something that was going on behind the scenes with the actor who plays Reese.
Yeah, it was on StarTrek.com. While they were filming that, his wife went into labor and he had a baby.
That's crazy. Well,
So
she had the
cool.
baby.
Well, yeah, because he couldn't because he was in the captain's chair. But
yes.
They made sure to get that filming of that done so he could leave and go and see the birth of the baby. And also the other actors were very supportive of that whole thing happening and happy. And there's a picture of Anthony, I think, holding the baby, Stamets. So
cool.
Yeah, very cute. And congratulations. That's awesome.
Congratulations to
what's the actor's name?
Here. I got it here. I'm getting it. I'm getting it now. The actor's name is. Where's your article? The actor's name is Patrick Kwok-Chun. So congratulations, Patrick.
Congratulations, Patrick.
We're on team Reese. We're on team Patrick, and we're on team Go Family.
Yes, family. You know what I thought about after his scenes, and I was so impressed by that, and I was like, this is unusual. We're getting to see other characters. I was thinking, oh, I wish I was there when he got the script and he was just like flipping, and he was had more than 2 lines, and he was like, did you see? I get to act that, because obviously they hired him because he can act, because he did really well in his. Oh yeah,
scene. He brings a certain gravitas.
Yeah,
he looked like a natural in the captain's chair.
I'm saying, yeah, I was really excited. It kind of gave me chills.
Behind his what's that? What would you call it? A hollow board, I guess. What do you call those screens?
Some kind of control panel with the
hollow panel.
Yeah, we'll go with that. But,
hollow panel.
It makes me think that maybe he was right, or to stay with the show. I don't know how long he's been on the show, but you know how some people leave because they don't have anything to do on the show and they feel like they're being wasted. But they used him this time, so I was excited about that. And I found that article interesting because I was like, were they giving him something to do because he's having a baby or something? And I was like, no, because she went into labor while they were filming that part, so it was already taken care of before that. But yeah, I enjoyed it and want to see him more, and it makes me sad that we won't see more stuff like that. So what could have been?
I think about this stuff, and I think about the upcoming Starfleet Academy series. That's another new development that just broke, I think, yesterday as we're recording this.
Yes,
is that they cast Holly Hunter as a Commodore, and maybe she's going to be like everybody's principal. Princess PAL pal. She's going to be like everybody's mentor and guide through that topsy-turvy time in their lives when they're tweens at the academy. I love Holly Hunter. You had me at Raising Arizona, so I've followed her career throughout the years, and I think that she's fantastic. Especially if you've ever seen The Piano, she was fantastic in that movie.
Yeah, so. And I love her voice. That's one of the things that does it for me in The Incredibles, because she voices Mrs. Incredible, and I just love her voice. So
whenever I think of her voice, I think of that exaggerated accent that she has in Racing Arizona. Yeah, so it'll be funny if she can break that out.
Oh, that would be cool. Just do that one, right? Just go for it, right? Yeah. So that makes me a little bit more excited for Star Trek Academy, I guess it's going to be being called.
Yeah, Starfleet Academy,
Star Wars Academy. I don't know, some kind of academy. Middle school, Star Wars Middle School, High, Star Wars High, Star Trek High. Right? Yeah, and maybe Reese is going to be on there. Maybe they were giving him a little audition. Who knows?
Yeah. So maybe he'll come back as captain in that somehow, somewhere. That'd be cool.
You know what was weird for me? I actually liked Burnham in the captain's chair when she came back.
Wait a minute.
I don't know.
You and what have you done with Albie? Am I on a detour? That's a B-52. So. Yeah. Through your mind.
As big as a whale. I entered to win the B-52s once. I did not win, but I entered. Yeah.
You were going to win the entire band?
Yeah, it was a contest. Something ran sometime for if you win the B-52s for your birthday party or something. And
How are you going to clothe them and feed them? I mean, if you win the B-52s, you have to walk them, mister, every day.
I think it's just for the day, but I would. I was way into the B-52s.
Oh, me too. I've seen them several times.
That's
several
awesome.
times.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I couldn't help but think of the B-52 song "Detour Through Your Mind," which is on their album "Bouncing Off the Satellites," and you should check it out because it's a neat, funny song.
Maybe the inspiration for this episode. Who knows?
Perhaps. I mean, "Face the Strange." They say they lifted that title from "Changes" by Bowie. So, but there's not. I don't think they mentioned "Labyrinths" in "Detour Through Your Mind."
Not
so
that I'm aware of.
They didn't lift the lyric anyway.
Maybe they mentioned Erica, the last episode.
Yeah, could be. Could be your girlfriend Erica in there.
Yeah, but like I'm always hope watching and wanting to enjoy it. So I'm not like going in with, oh, I'm mad. Like, look at her sitting in that chair eating those crackers. I'm not like that. I want to enjoy it because that's why I'm here. You know, that's why I'm watching. So, and I just thought I don't know if it was just the writing or how everything came together, but I enjoyed her in the chair at the end of the episode. The whole time she was in the library, I couldn't care less.
Well, but I have to think there's a correlation between what happened in the library and the journey that she went on there, and then your perception of her shifting as a result of that, where you maybe felt she deserved to be in the chair more. I was reading an article with the writer Eric J. Robbins, who actually his first professional script was an episode of Discovery. He wrote one last season, and he's still on staff there. And he's saying that when they were getting down to it, they were trying to figure out what the puzzle was going to be, what the challenge was going to be. And they just kept drilling down to try to make it more basic, more human. And Michael being an avatar, I guess, for people of color and women of color, you know, she runs the gamut on a lot of different types of
zombie killers.
Yes. In our society, all those zombie killers. But I don't know that it was the imposter syndrome, but it's living up to the pressure of being an example for other people in your community, to show them that you can do something, that you can make something of yourself. Look at me, I'm doing it. But with that comes this responsibility to make it look like you got it. You're never going to fail. And they were kind of channeling that with Michael's journey in this episode. And I think that on the whole, it strips it down and it makes her less of a superhero and more human. I liked it because it reached back, as this episode did in many ways, to season 1. With the Vulcan hello and the fact that she was the saboteur and the mutineer. And now she's always feeling in her mind, do I belong in this uniform? Have I earned this rank? Do I belong in that chair? And it was nice to see her have a moment of doubt, is it? Or like a crisis of identity? I'm not really sure. But that served to deflate some of the Mary Sue-ness that we get from the character throughout the entire series. Could that have something to do with why you like
maybe it seemed to humanize her a bit.
Yeah.
So maybe they are trying to find their feet in the last 3 episodes or so. Yeah, when I heard Sonequa was going to be the captain, a woman of color, I was on board. I was excited, and then I watched the Vulcan hello, and I was like, "What are you doing?" So, but
she wasn't supposed to be the captain, though. I mean, that was the thing. But it was supposed to take place. It wasn't like a lower decks thing, but they weren't going to follow, quote, the bridge crew. That was like the mandated Discovery from the beginning, is they were going to be more, not lower decks, but I guess you would say maybe mid decks focus show. And wow, they got away from that real quick, didn't they?
Well, when I saw the Vulcan hello, I was like, okay. I thought maybe this Discovery was going to kind of be like the new Battlestar Galactica, where it was really about all different characters, and like you'd follow one character through an episode or so. You know, you'd have the whole crew, but you know, you'd focus on, you know, and it could be anybody on on the show. So I thought that's maybe what they were doing. But I enjoyed her in this episode towards the end. It was really good. So you did like the library thing, right? I enjoyed the visuals of the library.
Oh, 100%. And it's funny because it took me on my second viewing to realize the difference between the real archive and Burnham's mental vision of the archive, turning that into a labyrinth, because I was approaching it too literally. And I loved the idea of there being that floating archive somewhere off in the Badlands. I have a question about like the logistics of that, but just the multi floors, just the towering intellect, like literally towering intellect all around you. I loved it. And then when she gets zapped into the mindscape, she's at, quote, what is it, the most important place in her life. You'd think that she might have showed up somewhere where her parents were or whatever, but no, they had the standing set and they wanted to use it. They were on location for some of this, right?
I thought most of it was in the volume.
Oh, okay. So you're talking. So they're on the big screen thingy. I read something, or I guess I saw some headlines. I hadn't clicked through to read it. That they were. I don't know if it was either inspired by it or partially filmed at a library in Toronto somewhere.
Oh, nice.
So, but either way, I mean, the set was fantastic. It's always going to pique my interest to visit some kind of bastion of knowledge, because I love libraries. I love books. I love going into them. I love this the feel and the smell, and it came across on screen to me. Like I felt like I was there.
That's good. I went while I was watching it. I was on the lookout for one of your books on the shelves. I did not see those.
No,
I was looking.
I mean, had I been in good with the set dresser, I could have. I could have. But we don't know the set decorator on this one, do we?
We don't, but we knew the people on Quantum Leap, and none of our people's books made it to the shelves there.
That's true. And it's funny. I did get to interview one of the set decorators for 11/22/63, Jacqueline Shube. I had a great conversation with her because there were a million radios on that show. So I said, I got to talk to you about that. But anyway, yeah, maybe if Jacqueline gets on, if you're listening, Jacqueline, and you're on another show, we'll send you some books to just pepper around the set.
Exactly.
Like just have the actor, tell the director, have the actor pick that up and just kind of browse through it before they give their lines.
The Seeker. This seems good. Yeah. I don't know if you noticed, but on my lighted shelf on the back wall of my space station here, in this pod anyway, I have two of my favorite books.
Oh, well, I have two of your favorite books too.
Yeah, but mine are autographed.
Oh, wow. No, I don't have an autograph in these two. So you do have the advantage of me, sir.
You should do that. To Christopher. Love Christopher.
Love me. To me. You're great. Love me.
I think I would.
That's just going through my head all the time anyway. It's kind of superfluous to write in a book. But I will say this.
Yes.
So just to put a bow on the library thing, because I had started to go into the mindscape, and I found it weird that, number one, she was there as the most important place in her life. But again, like I said, they had the set. They wanted to work with the set and keep the feel of the episode. So ultimately, to be that worked, and it is most important because they're chasing the progenitor technology. But it kind of threw me when the labyrinth aspect of it came in, because I thought that place was actually that incredibly vast. And then on the second watch, I realized, stop being so logical, you idiot. Now we're in the mindscape. This is all mental games. This is how lost she feels. And how, so I thought that was a neat trick, and I had to learn to approach it as allegory, because disco can oftentimes hit you over the head with a lot of stuff, and it's usually what you see is what you get. So nice touch there, I guess, is a short way of saying what I spent a very long time saying.
I did not pick up on that. I did not pick up on the two libraries were different. I thought they were the same. So I might have to watch it another time. I thought I took the important place as book, like the person was her most important place, and the background just happened to be background. So that's what I took that as.
All right. I mean, they did say that it could equally have been Tilly, but it works emotionally for book, because speaking of her fears and her self-doubts, Book comes in the very beginning of the episode, and he says, I know it was a tough call, and I know you didn't make it alone, but I still don't agree with what you did to Maul by giving her over to the Imperium. And it was a little bit more resonant on the second viewing, because you know where Michael is headed now. And for Book to basically confront her and say, you did the wrong thing, it feeds into those self-doubts that become pivotal to her finding the last clue. Did you buy that as a journey to get the last clue, or is it just yet another philosophy lesson of the week that we've been subject to this whole season?
I'm thinking the second time. It was weird for me because, like, when this happened to Burnham, I was like, are they interlighting Michael? They pretty much interlighted Michael, you know.
Yeah. That's why I put the actual thing that blasted her. They called it the nucleonic emitter. Oh. You've seen Next Gen a gazillion times. Is that the probe that blasts Picard? Is that also a nucleonic emitter?
Sounds familiar. Yeah, it doesn't bump me at all. It could be. Yeah, I've seen that episode probably 30 times. I enjoy it. It's got the guy from Fairhaven that always is borrowing money from Tom for drinks. Plays the
that guy,
the best friend. Yeah, that guy. Yeah, it was weird. They were interlighting her, so I didn't know if like she was going to be in there like a long time and live a life with Book. Maybe that's what I was expecting. And also, Book kept carrying around a fake book. So we'll call him fiction Book, right? Versus nonfiction Book. So fiction Book was carrying around this book the whole time, and the whole time I thought, oh, the clue's in that book, and it's just right in front of her the whole time. But no, it was different. It was just about the journey and, I guess, self introspection and discovery.
Wow, discovery.
Yeah, I thought I felt it unnecessary that, like, if you don't solve this, you're going to die. I guess they needed some kind of ticking clock to raise the stakes. But when it's like a mental journey thing, you don't have, everything doesn't have to be life or death. I don't think, because you already have the ticking clock on the outside with the Breen, right?
Yeah, but I think that they did that deliberately in the sense that, it's of course it's a ticking clock. It's just to add more drama to the plot, to add a little bit more tension, right? But in universe, I can see it working, because she even said to Book, so I don't make it out. And he said, it's just a precaution. If you found it and now you know where it is, if you're not worthy of it, it still needs to stay hidden. So sorry. They're going to find you dead, and they're not going to know why, and they're going to reshelve this book, and maybe someone in another 150 years will come along and find this clue. So I bought that in universe.
Okay. Now that you explain it, it makes some more sense to me. Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't bump me. What kind of bumped me a little bit was, is the archive supposed to be hidden? Is it supposed to be quasi accessible? Like, what's the whole deal with it? Like, hiding out, yet you can figure out where it is, yet it's like in a dangerous part of the galaxy, but in an oasis in the middle. Like, if it's a traveling archive, which they've established, has it always been traveling in the Badlands, or is it just now in the Badlands in this oasis? And if so, is it doing it for protection, or is it doing it because it wants to be secretive? I don't know, like, what's its whole deal. It's either open knowledge to everybody or secreted knowledge to be preserved from bad guys like the Breen. Which is it?
It's exactly like you said. It's just very confusing. I don't think it was in the Badlands the whole time. I think this part of its journey, it's in the Badlands. I think they put it in the Badlands because they have that Brewster's Millions CGI budget. They have to spend millions of dollars on CGI every episode, even if it's a bottle episode, I think, to make the journey hard to get there. But you wouldn't want that with a library, right? You want everybody access it. And they're not hiding it from the Breen, because the Breen have things there and they're welcome there, as long as they don't, try to shoot them up like they did. So I don't know. It makes no sense.
It made little sense to me too. Even when they're in the nebula, for another ship, it would be an issue. because you would have to go on impulse power. But Discovery, if they knew where the end point was, they could just jump to it with the spore drive because they have their infinite improbability drive. They can go anywhere at any time.
That's a good point.
So why even bother going through the electrical storms and the shields going down to 25%? And oh, we made it through. Yeah, cool effects.
Yeah. I guess they just needed some pew pews and stuff. I don't know. What did you think of the reason of the week to get Book on to go with Burnham? Like, bring your boyfriend.
I kind of liked the way they played it this week. Okay. Of course, it's because it's bring your boyfriend and you're going to have David on. But the funny thing is they didn't need to bring David because if they were going to make him the Avatar anyway.
Yeah, that was weird, right?
Yeah, he could have been present even though he wasn't there. But I found it especially poignant that they gave him a piece of the world route from Quajan and even offered to give it to him. It's here, but since now you're one of the few survivors, keep it, go do your thing with it. It's funny that they didn't show you if he took it or if he didn't. I wonder if that's going to come to fruition somewhere in the last episode when they all become gods and he brings Quajan back to life with the world route. I feel like it could go there, and I'm hoping it doesn't. But right in this episode, that moment of him finding it and realizing what it is and being all chucked up about it was a near perfect moment. So no matter where they go with it, I hope that they don't cheapen that moment by making it a magic, let's bring Quajan back from the dead kind of thing. Or maybe it will be a little bit more subtle. Maybe he'll be able to plant the world route on a new world and at least try to rebuild the culture. Maybe with other refugees, maybe with other Quajans.
That's more what I was hoping for. Yeah. That way you have a piece of it, like a cornerstone from somewhere else to rebuild. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would welcome them going somewhere like that. And I think that would be a good ending for the character. So we just have to see where they go with it. Now, the real question to me, does Michael stay with the fleet or does she join Book on that world and they live happily ever after? I wonder if that's even going to be a consideration.
My best guess is she sacrifices herself at the end of the series.
So you see Michael dying?
Yeah.
Really? Is that wishful
no,
thinking?
Not at all. Not at all. But I think the drama. I think the drama of it, and this hasn't been done before. And I think they're done with Discovery. So I don't think there's ever going to be a movie of the week, or and it's all about Michael's journey. This whole show is about Michael's journey. So I think it had a beginning. We saw her beginning, and now we might see her end. That's just a thought. I have no idea. We got 8 days until we find out. So what did you think? What was there too many differences, or what did you think of the differences, if any, you saw between fiction book and nonfiction book?
I think that it was played right. I think David played it right because it clearly was not Book. It was David Ajala playing a different character that looked like Book. And the costuming helped because they had on the archivist's robes and none of Ajala's mannerisms. Well, not Ajala, but none of Book's mannerisms. It was more of I feel like they were almost channeling the Betazoid doctor that planted the clue, because there was a somewhat feminine aspect to the Avatar. Even though it looked like Book, it felt to me that there were just things that struck me as a little bit feminine. So I don't know if that was intentional. I don't know if that's just me bringing something to it that's not there, but I really liked the fact that it wasn't just Book, because we had a whole story with Book separate from Michael's journey. So it was almost like that uncanny valley thing where she thinks it's Book and she wants it to be Book, but it's not Book. So she's got to reconcile this fake thing in front of her that looks so real with the world that she knows. And how do you bridge that gap? And I think that the fact that it was book helped her open up a little bit, because if she's forced to be vulnerable, who is she more likely to be vulnerable with? An avatar of her mother, who is so strong, who's now like this warrior monk, an avatar of her father, who she probably has really maybe hero worship feelings for because she lost him when she was so young. It couldn't be Sarek, because Sarek is so much of a taskmaster. There's no way you can show weakness, emotional weakness, to a Vulcan. So maybe Amanda would have been the other choice for the Avatar. If you were going to do a callback, I would say Amanda would have been maybe the best choice after Book.
I know who I would have picked to be in that spot, if not Book. Original Giorgio, her original mentor.
Oh,
so she could have a conversation with Giorgio about what has happened thus far and how she feels about it.
That actually would have been thematically 10 times better.
Mm-hmm. But of course, I'm not going to complain about seeing David. So if Tilly went into the Mindscape, would she be talking to like fake Gyllenhaal that she got drunk with at the party with, or who would be her? Who would be her Beta Z librarian?
Her avatar. I don't know if I know Tilly well enough to say. It would probably be Michael, knowing Tilly.
Yeah, I thought that
because
too, yeah.
Michael turned out to be such a mentor to Tilly. They went from sharing a room to basically growing up together in the fleet. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know who else you would do, because who else have we seen Tilly interact with on such a consistent level?
Yeah, not much. So
maybe her overbearing mom.
That might have been, that might have been good too, though, because it could have been like Prisoner Burnham, from the Vulcan Hello. So
would have been interesting. They kind of did that already last season when they went back to the Mirror Universe, and we saw Prisoner Burnham, and then they just did it again with the time jumping episode with Face the Strange. So
Face the Strange.
I feel like maybe they were right to avoid it again. I guess the funny thing is that I just recalled that Tilly's mom was voiced, even though we only saw a hollow of her from the back. The voice was Mimi Kuzik, and that's Donna from the Leap Back.
The Leap Back,
Quantum Leap. Yeah. So maybe we could have gotten Mimi back in there.
That would have been cool. That would have been a cool crossing the streams.
If it was Tilly's mom, yeah.
I have concerns. I'm worried because I know that they didn't, when they filmed the season originally, they didn't know that this would be the last season, so they had to do reshoots. So I'm kind of worried that like the final episode is just going to be like a whole like mismatching, wrapping up ends that doesn't quite fit the story.
Well, I mean, would it be any different from any other ending of Disco? I mean, you're not. I don't say that flippantly. I know it sounds like I'm just being a jerk when I say that, but you're not that invested in these characters anyway, and no matter where it ends, you're always going to feel a little bit of disappointment. I don't know. Anyway, I have. So if they were able to do reshoots, I think maybe the opposite. Maybe it's going to make it a little bit better, put a nice bow on it, and give you some sense of finality and maybe some sense of satisfaction. Whereas I guess like you said, when we first started reviewing this season, when they announced that this was going to be the last crickets on the internet, like nobody, even when I heard, I was like, yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, I don't think I'll miss it. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
So I think that them going back and doing reshoots actually bodes well, because at least they cared enough to try to put some kind of coherent bow on it. It can't be any worse than freaking These Are the Voyages. So I have to think that, it's going to do something, and maybe it'll help lead into the Starfleet Academy series.
Yeah. And that would be another reason to get rid of Michael, so she wouldn't have to drop by for an episode of Starfleet Academy.
See, that's the one reason I don't think they will get rid of her, because they want to maybe do a Sonequa cameo to help boost stuff, to boost interest in it. But who would be the best cameo? I don't want Giorgio teaching young impressionable kids how to go and be a mass murderer, so that wouldn't be a good one.
There's no way Boothby's still alive.
Boothby is dead. Yeah,
Let's say recast him.
Yeah, maybe son of Boothby, great grandson of Boothby.
Maybe 8472 Boothby survived. I don't know.
So we're talking a lot of what's going on in the labyrinth in Michael's mind. What did you think of the real world story with the Breen attacking the archive and them being trapped there and doing the firefight, the pew-pews in the stacks?
For me, I felt that was just pew-pew filler, most of it. I did like seeing, again, the inside of the Breen ship and how huge it was and what a massive scale, because very rarely do we see that in the Star Trek world. Like, it's more like a Star Wars type thing where you have like these infinite hangars with these ships in it and stuff. I did like the ending with Maul and how she's like saying, I'm the rightful holder of whatever this position is right now because I'm Locke's wife. And like, the staring contest and the little bit of pew-pews and then all the guards rallying behind her. I enjoyed that part. Like, you could see it coming as it started, but I still enjoyed that beat because I wasn't expecting that watching the episode. Attacking the library, I think, was just to show you that that villain has no redemption. What's his name? The Breen?
Rune.
Yeah. So just seeing that Rune is just not a good guy at all, and no matter what he says, you can't trust him or believe him. And he violated the Turgoon, the promise that he made. Yeah, and so it was cool to see the whole scene where in the Groon where it happened.
I did not like the stuff on the Breen ship as I started this show, disavowing my joy at this being maybe a royal drama saga. I don't know. Just to start with the library stuff, I did like the chemistry between Rayner and Book. I thought that it was okay, even when it turned into sort of a observation on the Breen ship that looked like a first person shooter. I said, all right, but I think that they had enough chemistry together, and this might be one of the first times we've been able to see them act together. So I enjoyed that part of the episode, mainly for that. That it was a firefight and that Book got wounded. Again, just putting more stakes in. I was not on the edge of my seat at any point, but I did enjoy what I was watching. I can't say that for Queen of Breen. I once I saw the dynamic and the fact that they were going to make Rune this mustache twirling, this jelly stash twirling bad guy. There's just zero redemption. He just does what he wants. He runs roughshod, and I could see that she was going to manipulate the troops into coming onto her side by giving him enough rope to hang himself. So why he didn't just kill her outright the way he killed one of his own guards when she opened her mouth is because show. And right? It's
that whole villain leaving the precarious situation that our hero was in and giving him enough time to get out of it before it actually kills him.
But do I buy that Maul has the charisma and the chops, even if she is the wife of the Scion? I guess she's the new Scion, whatever they call a queen or a queen in waiting or princess, whatever the hell.
Queen Scion, yeah.
Yeah. Scion is a son usually, or an offspring. Scion is like of the line, so she can't be a Scion, but she could be the anyway. We're getting nerdy here. That's what we do.
Now we're getting nerdy.
It's because I don't like Maul that I don't buy that with just her snark and her sneer and her shitty attitude, she's all of a sudden running the Imperium or is in contention to run the Imperium. And now all of a sudden she's just this pure of heart. She just wants Locke back. Like, that's her thing. Why would you destroy the Discovery? You'll start a war with the Federation. Why? Like, she's looking askance at Rune, like this is not something she was trying to do an episode ago. That completely threw me. And your situation, if anything, has gotten worse. Don't you think you would want the Discovery out of the way so that you could get the tech? Because if they get the tech, or the Federation has the tech, they're not going to let you bring somebody back to life. The Federation don't play that.
No.
So maybe you want to get rid of the Discovery because now you have the coordinates. You can get there before them, and you can claim it for yourself, and you can bring your boy toy back to life, and then you guys can go escape on that bar on Risa in the Delta Quadrant or whatever that you were talking about 4 episodes ago. But for her to look on in horror as he says, destroy the archive, I think that she'd be right on board with that, because by that you're destroying the 5th clue. Nobody else can find it. Or anyway, the avatar for the clue, they actually got the piece of it, so they don't need it anyway. But I don't know. It just seems to me it would further her cause, and she's not a redeemable character to all of a sudden make her like quasi redeemable and her pulling punches. I think I've made my point.
To me, I got the vibe of like the Wicked Witch is dead. You know, when the Wicked Witch of the West gets the bucket of water thrown on her and she melts. And you know, the people like Scarecrow and Dorothy and everybody thinks, oh no, they're in trouble now, but all their guards are like, yay. So I think that's why they were trying to make Rune such a bad guy in general, and like non-trustworthy. And I think the Breen as a people have some sort of honor code, and it seems like it, but he wasn't going by it. So I think he was not typical. He was atypical for a Breen commander, and everybody underneath him was like, this asshole. You know, so when they had to choose between who to give their allegiance to, they made the better choice at the time, and I think, and they're hoping that maybe Locke will come back because he is the rightful heir. So I see at the end of the series, Locke takes over the Breen. Breen are now allies with us. Everybody's cool. Maul is by his side. Captain Rayner is the captain of the Discovery. You know,
and Michael's dead somehow.
Michael's
for
dead.
some reason.
Yeah,
Michael dead.
Yeah,
Michael dead. I think it would have been much more realistic for her to maybe win over some of the more immediate people in that cavernous ship that saw what was going on, as opposed to everybody automatically bowing to her. It's like the end of Apocalypse Now when Martin Sheen kills Kurtz and everybody bows to him like you could be the new Kurtz. I no, Maul, no. It was too overblown. I don't know. I just didn't buy any of that crap. So again, and also, like you said, you saw it coming too. You knew that's where it was going.
Well, again, it's a step to get to where the story ends almost.
Right. Yeah, you needed to advance the plot. You needed to put things in place, right? So.
The hard part of the whole situation for me is anytime we're on the Breen ship and there's only one person that doesn't look like the other 28, which is Maul, I just get confused. Who is who? I was like, okay, who did she shoot? Was it one of the guards? Was it the main bad guy? What's going on here? So it's very difficult for me to get drawn into the story when I can't tell the characters apart.
Well, I mean, then that's a problem with the Breen. If they're never going to take off their helmets, I guess it's cheaper that way. I'm not sure, but we have Maul impossibly beating somebody who's trained in combat from age
wearing armor, like you said,
wearing armor. At least she had a blast stick this time, or whatever. It was like almost like in Return of the Archons when they had like those tubes that they would shoot. Anyway,
we're of the body,
yeah, we are of the body. It's basically they've made the Breens into Klingons as far as I'm concerned. It's the same nonsense with honor, and honor is what we say it is, and this hierarchy where I guess you can get on with murder, and it's tedious, quite frankly. You had a chance to do something new with a different kind of villain, and you essentially, I know they were presented as militaristic in DS9, so you kind of had to go with that.
Yeah.
But don't just make them Klingon-like or Klingon light or maybe Klingon dark. I don't know.
The makeup was better though.
Not if you're going by 90s Trek Klingons. I think the makeup, I would have loved to have seen. Anyway, yeah.
I have to say I was disappointed by the final piece of the puzzle going together. Because this is what the whole season is built on so far, and I guess it is the map. It's not like the final destination, which we'll get to in the next couple episodes. But it seemed to me like Stamets was always sliding the piece in, like they were grooved into whatever of this puzzle piece, and then Burnham just kind of just pops it in sideways, like boop, and that would be like a keystone where you would have to definitely put it in the same way. But that's a directional thing, blocking. But just that it's a map that happens to use the same CG effects for the holograms as everything else in Discovery, which I found weird. You know, I thought it should look completely different, but just having a map and coordinates, and I don't know. I was just like, oh, okay, that's what all this was for, just to get those coordinates.
Yeah, I had sort of a retcon for that.
Okay,
I mean, I'm good, but then it happened on the Breen ship too. So maybe whatever OS they have in the 32nd century can take whatever signal that conjoined puzzle piece is putting out and extrapolate it into the technology that they have.
So the people that find it can understand it. That makes sense.
Yeah,
I like that.
So like,
it bumps me less.
Like if I found it, it would be playing on one of my antique radios, or if you found it, it would be playing on one of your laser discs.
Laser disc can be a laser disc of it.
right. Yeah. So I don't know. That's the way I chose to look at it. I don't know where they were at the time that they were putting the clues together. You figured they're somewhere around the lower decks period.
Mm-hmm.
So could they make a hollow emitter? Sure, they could.
Mm-hmm.
What is the hologram projecting on, though? That's where I always get in trouble with this stuff in my brain.
Mm-hmm.
Like you see Iron Man doing it, at least on Discovery, you figure everything they're in is basically a holodeck at this point, so that you can call up no matter what you want, whether it be matter or energy or whatever. The entire ship is basically a holodeck. When you're seeing it on like the Avengers or something, like that screen is coming up and he's moving it. Well, what medium does that screen exist on? It can't just be because you want to put your hands in the air. Mm-hmm. And also, how tiring must that be to have your arms up all the time doing that? Anyway,
having that Quest headset, I'm doing stuff all the time. And, so it's a workout. It's more than just making a couple clicks or doing a voice command thing, but they have that too.
But so I was able to retcon that a little bit, because it's a special problem I have with that version of tech, and I think that is going to look as dated in about 20 years as anything we've seen on the original series looks now.
I was pleasantly surprised that it wasn't just the same actress with with the makeup on doing the whole speech over again. I thought that's what it was going to be, just the same exact speech. Like the
so you thought it was going to be from what's it called,
the Chase, something like that,
right?
But maybe we'll see that character in the future episodes when they get to where they're going.
Yeah, and at least they ended it this way by saying, "I know something that Maul doesn't."
Yeah, what did you think about that? Because we didn't see what Burnham learned that will help at the end.
That's part of what makes me want to see what's going next. I don't know what they'll do with it, but it's nice that they have an edge, and I think that again makes a lot of sense in universe. Otherwise, what is the sense of going through the tests to get these clues? Like if you just found the piece without, just by sheer luck, you found that crystal and it broke, and now I have the fifth part of the clue. You still need some kind of extra knowledge to make it work for you. So I liked that aspect of it. But now, what if this had been the first part of the puzzle piece that they found? It's just pretty convenient that the fifth and last is what's going to lead them to where they need to go. And then she gets the lesson. You can find these things in any order.
Was there a certain order, or are we just assuming there is because they did it in a certain order?
Yeah, I think we're just assuming there is for narrative purposes, right? But you got to figure, if somebody's like, you're going through this diary, You might not know what those twin moons mean, but you do know what this part of the diary means. Is the only clue in that diary those twin moons, and you have to start there?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Like a scavenger hunt kind of thing. And when it has a next clue with it, that's what I was just assuming.
Yeah. It just struck me again as narratively convenient that the fifth clue also leads to the map and the revelation and what she needs to know. Was it always intended to be set up that way, or could you find the clues in any order and still get what you needed? Like if she had found the clue on the water planet, would some hologram have it's not the water planet, the whistle planet with the water clue,
wooden bowl planet.
Would some hologram have popped up in that chamber saying, okay, this is what you need to know, otherwise you won't be able to get the tech? Or would it have happened on the bug planet? Would Janal had said, oh, by the way,
Yeah,
I guess it doesn't make a difference for story purposes. Again, you want that narrative momentum, you want that flow, so it's fine. It just strikes me as, again, because show.
Yeah. Now I want to find out, but I don't want to rewatch it to find out, but I'll probably do that at some point. I'll go through it again. You know me. That's what
you keep waffling on that. Last week you're like, no, I'm not rewatching it. No, I'm not rewatching that one. I mentioned Mirrors before, and you were like, ah!
Well, now you got something to make me look for. So I don't know. It depends how it ends. I think if it has a satisfying ending, and I'm like, oh, this was good, I think they did good, then that would be it. If they piss me off at the end, I might not. So we'll see. I haven't rewatched Lost yet. So, and the only episode I didn't like was the last one. So there you go. So
I loved the last one. So as a matter of fact, you had mentioned something earlier, and I was going to invoke Lost, but I didn't want to spoil anything. So I'm just going to try to leave that there without context.
All right.
Although some
people who know could understand what you're saying, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
But,
what did you think of the engineering stuff? The Tilly, Adira, Jet.
It wasn't Tilly. It was Adira, Stamets, and Jet.
Was it? Well, yeah. Where was Tilly?
Tilly was on the bridge. She was on the bridge mainly, and then she brought the puzzle pieces so that Michael could put the last one in. Yeah, but she was more of just reading out timing and, hey, they're on their way, and I don't. You tell me, what did you think of that part?
I liked that it was reminiscent of like when Next Gen, they're like working in engineering to try to figure something out, and like Geordi's all excited and hyper, and then they talk at the same time and say the same thing with someone else. So I kind of like that they were teching the tech together, and I like that Tig was there commenting on it, but it was just it didn't seem necessary because it went along with the pew-pews from the Breen. So I don't know. I would have liked it more of an episode if they did it, because they did this whole Mindscape thing with Burnham. If that was more like, say, like the Empath or something, where it was more like almost a non-existent set, and it was just a couple people in a room or something, less pew-pews and busy work.
I don't think that anything should aspire to be like the Empath, so I'm going to completely disagree with you on that.
All right.
But that part kind of left me cold again, because I don't like Adira as a character. I saw that they were a bit more confident in this one, and maybe that's what they were trying to show. But now all of a sudden you're going to come to the same conclusions as Stamets at the same time that Stamets does. Stamets is he's light years ahead of you. I mean, he's super genius. So they're just doing it to build. Yeah, I guess so. Maybe the shrooms have a detrimental effect to his, and maybe he's only super genius when it comes to shrooms. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you can retcon it any way you like. It just depends on what mileage you get. And I don't get much mileage out of teching the tech or two out of those characters. Yeah.
I think, because I looked at the promotional photos for this week's episode coming up. And I think they're just having those characters around doing stuff to keep you thinking about them, because the next episode seems to be about them. I haven't read the description, but That's all.
I haven't either. I try to avoid any kind of spoilers. So, and we don't have that much longer to wait to watch it anyway.
Less than 3 hours.
Yep. So,
but it was okay. It was nice to see Tig. It was nice to see Reno there. I wish there was more there. Like go on the away team. We'll do the woo 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 and scan stuff and come up with stuff there. But it is what it is.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I mean, and I think you've just wrapped up everything we've always said about disco. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Other than that, the only thing I have left on my notes is that I really liked the Breen drill. I thought that was a cool effect, and I thought that was at least something a little different than we've seen. So, and that's pretty much all I have to say about that.
Yeah, I think the Breen are going to get their library card revoked, though. It's definitely violating terms and conditions.
And one of the archivists is going to be Danny Glover, and he's going to say, "It's been revoked."
I think the only other things I have on my notes is the sand bumped me. I know she's in a mindscape in a dream, but she had like an infinite bucket of sand where no matter where she went, she still had the same amount of sand pouring out.
Yeah, and that again on the second viewing, I was like, "Duh, it's a dream," and she couldn't map 95% of that labyrinth in the 30 seconds that she did. So, because that labyrinth, when they panned out, was like huge. It was like Jack Torrance and Danny Torrance were running around somewhere in there.
Well, and she had the map of the that's what bumped me too.
That's the other thing. She had a map.
So then why were you pouring sand and leaving breadcrumbs if you have a map and it shows you where you are and where you're going and where you need to be? That made no sense whatsoever.
It's all head games.
But when you're dreaming, so maybe this was a dreamlike state, the mindscape, the inner lighting of her, like you don't connect those things.
Right. That's what I'm thinking too. I think it's all, you all have to take that with it's not supposed to make logical sense. Yeah, grain of sand. It's not supposed to make logical sense.
Yeah, where you open your bedroom door and then you're on the beach and your brain
or you step into the turbo lift and it's on the abyss of space.
Yes, because your critical thinking is sleeping at that point, so you're just like enjoying the ride. So maybe that's what's going on. But I was like if it was real life, you just take some, because you could see on the floor there's some sand, so you just sprinkle a little bit, but not like half the bucket in every hallway. But
well, it's the never-ending bucket of sand. So.
The never-ending bucket of sand. Yeah, she had a map. That was like, that took me out of it, because I was like, you're looking to go there and you're seeing where you are and it's showing the hallways. Just go that way. I don't know.
Well, much like Burnham in a labyrinth in a library, I'm going to pivot. And I'm going to ask you, who was your episode crush?
My episode crush for this episode would be Reese, because I really loved the actor's work, and I liked the scene, and I liked that they were focusing more on other people, and I enjoyed that part of the episode, and I thought he did an amazing job. We just saw a little glimpse of him, what he could do, what he's what he does, a great actor. And made a little fan of me, because before, he's okay. He's a handsome guy. He's in the background. He's saying a line here or there, but he actually got to do something. And I totally bought him as commanding that ship and people following him. So Reese is my crush for the episode.
All right. I think I have a tie. My first inclination is what you just said, but I also loved Elena Watko as the Afrosian Hyrel. So I like seeing the Afrosians again. I liked the way that she approached them. Every time you've seen an Afrosian before this, it was in the Monster Maroon or as the president of the Federation. They just seemed a little bit more staid, a little bit more stodgy, and she came a complete 180, was having a lot of fun with it. And every time she came on screen, I enjoyed it. So I'm going to say that Hyrel is my high point of the episode. Your favorite part of the episode?
That's difficult. I'd say the feeling of like the non-discovery feels I got the Strange New Worlds feels, like the happy romp adventure feels, besides the, the dramatic, self-examination part. But it felt more like it was like, I'd say Star Trek V vibe, Strange New Worlds vibe versus Disco vibe, where they were like they all knew what was going on. They were on adventure. They were enjoying the ride. And what was the librarian's name?
Harrell.
And Harrell's vibe too was all part of that. And I just liked that whole feel of it. So that part.
I kind of liked the whole Mutara Nebula feel. So I guess it's where along similar lines there. So
I was worried the caretaker was going to pull him to the Delta Quadrant.
No corn on the cob this episode, sir.
No corn on the cob. I was like, that'd be a funny ending if you just see him like laying on a table, getting needles stuck in him, and Tom Paris over there, and there's corn, and there's a picnic. They're in the
corn. Push it to the corn, son.
Yeah. So I mean, the caretaker race couldn't be just 2 people. They have to have more of them. So.
No, well, I guess does every trip to the Badlands lead to the caretaker?
I would say it's
not
a possibility. It's a possibility.
We'd have to ask all those disappeared Maquis. So
Christopher D. Philippus, before we do our final ratings and our final thoughts, what do we have now? We have a Trek and Tell or a trivia? Trivia, right?
I gotta do trivia for you.
Trivia for me. Trivia. So you asked me.
Yeah, I asked you.
So I don't need
because you asked me last time. You ready? Got your glasses on?
3 questions. 3 questions.
3 questions.
3 questions.
You got me for 3 questions.
You got me for 3 questions.
All right. There are 3 questions. In the motion picture Star Trek Generations, what starship rescues survivors of the Enterprise D? I would not know this without an answer.
Enterprise C. Is that right?
In the movie Generations?
Oh, wait. In movie Generations, what ship rescues the survivors of the Enterprise D?
Yeah, I'm guessing it's the ones from the saucer section that's down on the planet.
Farragut? That's just a guess.
It is the Farragut. How did you know that?
It was a Farragut. Guess. I just went with my feeling. So
I
it must
never
be
would have
buried
said
somewhere
Farragut
down
because
in there.
Farragut to me is the original series. Farragut. It's Kirk's ship. So,
but it was just like a feeling. So I guess I subconsciously remembered that part.
I didn't think I'd get the Farragut A. You got it. You got it.
Wow.
Ding, ding, ding.
Whew, that was
going to get harder, I guess.
I did not know that. I wouldn't have bet money on that.
All right, get Farragut boy. Calm down. Name Data's first officer while he was in command of the USS Sutherland, written by, and for whatever reason, the card says written by Mike Crowell, Mignot, ND.
Maybe they're fan-submitted questions for Seen It or something? So read the question one more time so I can stall and try to think about this.
Right. Okay. Yes. Mike Crowell from Minot, North Dakota asks, name Data's first officer while he was in command of the USS Sutherland.
Is this the No, that's not that episode. I am drawing a blank. Do you know this?
No, this is deep next gen stuff. I can only think of the one where they made Data a captain and the rest of the crew was kind of resentful for him because he was a robot. Yeah,
is that the episode they're talking about? Maybe, but I wouldn't know that guy's name. He was Jerk of the Week. I do not know.
Jerk of the Week. His name is Lieutenant Commander Fantasy Fan. Now it's Lieutenant Commander.
Yay, Fantasy Fan.
Lieutenant Commander Hobson.
Wouldn't have got that. Wouldn't have got that. You know that if I ever go on Jeopardy and it's the category Star Trek, it'll be questions like that. I'll be like, how am I supposed to know what?
Think of this. This question is your Hobson's choice.
Okay.
So, all right.
I did not know that.
Last but not least, who played Q's son in the Voyager episode Q2?
That would be John Delancey's son, and I don't know his name.
Come on.
Something Delancey. John Delancey Jr.
Nope. Keegan Delancey, son of John Delancey.
I knew it was John Delancey's son, but I didn't know his name.
Q, in parentheses, Q.
Very cool. Very cool.
So you got
I'd say one.
You got 1 out of 3.
Man.
1.5. We're going to give you 1.5. Yeah. I think, sir, that you have the worst score ever recorded for our Trek trivia.
So a new record. I made a new record.
You better make it up with your Trek and Tell.
I will. Let's see. Which one should I pull? I'm
That's what she
unboxing. Since you have an unboxing coming up on our next episode of Treksploration covering the Next Generation episode, Justice.
Or is it just us? Albie?
Just us.
I
have a box. I have a box to open. And again, I don't have my knife.
Use a pen.
Yep, mightier than a sword. And this came a couple days ago. That's why I just thought to do this one. I got a really good deal on this one. And I couldn't believe I got it, so I'm pretty stoked. Hopefully it's in good condition. Let's see.
Why are you talking like Allison Hannigan on American Pie?
I put a flute in my...
You're going to have to cut that out.
Yep, I'm going to have to beep that out. So here's what the spines look like.
Oh. I thought you were going to bring in like a skeleton.
Let's see. It is Star Trek, the animated series. All the episodes on VHS. I didn't have these ever before.
Oh, my God. Where do you put all this stuff?
Oh, I got a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and it's just me and,
Let me see bring that in a little closer.
What episode?
I want to see what does the top look. Okay, so it's like little boxes. For anybody listening at home on the podcast feed, they got 2 episodes per cassette, and then they have just 2 little screenshots on the top, and then the classic, the animated series of them running. That I have a T-shirt with that on it. Actually.
I do too. Where are they going?
Running towards the camera. Okay. Is that the complete series?
So this is the complete series. That's why I was stoked, because I like completeness. It really helps me click by. So we got BEM and Albatross here.
You know what BEM stands for?
Bug-eyed monster.
Yes, thank you.
So I had these on Laserdisc already. I have the complete Laserdisc. I have the DVD set. And I think they're out on Blu-ray, aren't they? Do I have the Blu-ray set? I don't know.
Those, I believe, are out on Blu-ray. Yes.
So I have this now. This was the last one, because I don't think they put this one out on CED or Betamax. They might have. The Eye of the Beholder and Once Upon a Planet. They look good. And let's see. The Jihad. And the Territon.
The Jihad. Is the Jihad the one where they're doing like the scavenger hunt and he's with the woman who says we could make green memories, Kirk? Or is that BEM? That might be BEM.
That might be BEM. The Jihad says Captain Kirk and Mr. Spock join a team of aliens trying to recover a sculpture containing the soul of that spiritual leader before a holy war breaks out. That makes sense. Holy war.
Yeah, that's a pretty good episode. Of all the episodes of the animated series, I'd put that in the top 5.
Okay, January 13th, 1974.
January 13th. That's my sister's birthday.
Yay! So it came out in 74. How old was your sister in 74?
She was -2 years old. She was born in 76.
Yeah, I was -2. The slaver weapon and the ambergossis element. I like the ambergossis element because it's underwater, right? Yep.
It's ambergris, by the way.
Yeah, that's the whale poop, right?
Yeah, ambergris element.
See, I started pronouncing these when I was still in feetsy pajamas, so I got some of them on,
Yep.
Yeah, the L'Oreal signal, is that right?
Lorelei
signal. Lorelei, really?
That's the one. Yeah, the Lorelei signal is the one where all the men on the Enterprise become dumb idiots and the women take over. And it's a fantastic episode, except Nichelle and Magil voice every single person on the ship.
And they don't change their voice very much at all.
No, not at all.
But I like the women power of it. Yesteryear. That's Serenity's favorite episode, Yesteryear.
That's everybody's favorite episode of Taz.
And Beyond the Furthest Star. More Troubles, More Tribbles. The Infinite Vulcan. Is that large Spock?
That's Giant Spock.
Giant Spock. Which we find out what happens to him in Lower Decks. How Sharper Than a Serpent's Tooth and the Counterclock Incident.
Is the Serpent's Tooth the one with the flying snakes?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's like the Quetzalcoatl one. Yeah.
Quetzalcoatl,
based on like Mayan mythology and stuff.
And the Pirates of Orion and the Practical Joker. Kirk is a jerk.
Kirk is a jerk. You son of a bitch.
Yeah, so it's just cool when like kids' television shows are named How Sharper Than a Serpent's Tooth.
Yeah, that's true.
I remember watching these as a kid and just loving them. It was after I discovered the original series.
Yeah, and then you sort of get into like even the bad theme they had on it. Yeah,
It's
the bad
very,
theme
very,
song.
very Filmation. I did a thing. I think it was Yesteryear. That's the one where, they travel back, Spock, different things.
Right.
And I did a thing where I used AI to make it widescreen. I extended the corners because it's just like still frame background animation. Sometimes they pan, but I did that and it worked out pretty good. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
I
Those
have
are
no
Blu-ray
idea
rips. So yeah, Blu-ray.
How do you do that stuff? How do you do that stuff?
I just wanted to watch the episode in widescreen, without cropping it. And I was like, oh, we have the technology now. And AI was pretty good at extending the scenes. I do that with thumbnails sometimes. If I want an image like certain place, then I just extend the other parts of it. But yeah, that's my Trek and Tell this time. So that was the animated
cool.
series on VHS.
So I'm glad that everybody watching and or listening got to hear us read all of the episode titles. You're welcome for that refresher.
Yeah, some other shows that talk about Star Trek. I think there's a half a dozen now, right? Star Trek podcast shows, video shows. Who knows? They like to skip the animated series, but I think there's some good stories there. There really is.
Now, the animated series is its own thing. I think that it's getting, maybe not respect, but at least re-examination. How's that? It's not just completely written off anymore. Although a lot of episodes deserve to be completely written off, there are some that are actually pretty good. So. And I think that if you're going to review Trek, you should review it all. If you're going to review freaking Alan Moraine, Run Along Home,
Move Along
you
Home.
should also do the Infinite Vulcan,
Then 4. Yep. Then 2 more. It's going to be good. Yeah. All right. I think final thoughts and ratings out of 5. So Christopher D. Philippus, your final thoughts and out of 5 rating for this Star Trek Discovery Season 5, Episode 8, Labyrinths.
I went through the labyrinth of season 5, and I was happy to find myself stumbling upon this episode, coming around the turn and not finding a Minotaur, but cool library-centric episode. I enjoyed Burnham's journey in this one somewhat. I really enjoyed like I said, just the whole conceit of it. I thought was really neat. So, and I love the fact that it made you turn inner light into a verb. So that's even better. So yeah, I'm going to give this one pretty high marks. Why don't we give it 4 out of 5? What am I going to give it? I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 cute Afrosians.
Ah, okay. Very good. There was parts of this I liked, parts of it that I was bored with. It's weird. It's kind of like ramping up for the final hurrah, the final 2-part episode, probably. So it's more like laying the tracks for what's to come. The parts I did like was Maul and the librarian, which was named
Hyrel.
I liked Hyrel. I liked the scene on the bridge with Reese. I wasn't impressed with the Mindscape as much as you were, but I did like towards the end of the journey. I did like that part when I was finally getting on board, and then I did like her in the command chair again after that. So maybe there's something there. So I'm still going to give it 3 buckets of infinite sand.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. So.
The good thing about Infinite Sand is it doesn't run out. So you will always have enough patience to see if Disco turns around for you. If it just turns around, you could be wandering that labyrinth lost, and then all of a sudden something clicks.
We talked a little bit about what I think's going to happen for the end of this season / series. Do you have any thoughts or hopes or wishes or things that might?
I try not to do that. I try not to do that because when I do that, I find myself almost invariably disappointed. One, because it's not as good as what I was hoping for, or 2, it's exactly what I called it. And I don't want to call it. I want every series finale to be mirror image. Wow. I want every series finale to be what you leave behind. That's what I want. So I'm just along for the ride, and I hope whatever they do is going to be uniquely Disco and at least put this series to bed in a way befitting of the characters, and it's genuine fans. It's
Mm-hmm.
got a lot of genuine fans.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my only hope for the end of the series, that it is something that its genuine fans can cling to and say, I love it.
I like that. I like that. You're right. You're right. So if they don't give me what I want, I'm disappointed. If they do give me what I want, I called it. Both ways are disappointing. Yeah. I like your way better. I think I'm going to work on doing that from now on.
Yeah, and it just, it saves a lot of time. I find that my biggest problem now watching anything is we've seen everything so many times. And I'm not just talking Star Trek. We've seen every story done. So it's very tough to get a surprise. Like you say, okay, they're going this way. Oh, they went that way. And, I remember the first time I saw something akin to that, it blew me away. But now I've seen it a couple of times. So how well did you do it is where I'm always at this point. So like I said, I want a mirror image. I want to be knocked on my ass. I want to be completely taken aback and baffled by what I saw and still thinking about it and analyzing it 30 years later. So that's what I want. That's not too much to ask, is it?
I want it to be the best episode of Disco ever. We'll see. I'm still hopeful. We'll see.
Yeah. If I do have any visions in my mind, I think there is going to be a TMP-like evolution of at least some character somewhere. There's going to be the next Decker. But that's honestly the only image that I have in my mind. Other than that, no specifics, no nothing.
They did leave some groundwork for who that might be, but I won't talk about it so you don't put it together and spoil yourself.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. So
now I know who it is and what they're doing. Great.
It's the koala, right?
The koala. Yeah, the whole universe exists on the back of a koala, obviously. All right. Obviously. So let's talk about next time. Tell us about next time on Treksploration. We got 2 next times, don't we, Christopher?
2 next times. For you people here on the Patreon feed,
our crew
will be recapping Lagrange Point, which is the penultimate episode of Disco, not just of the season, but of the series. So Lagrange Point, that should be good. And for everybody else and the general audience, we are recapping the TNG episode Justice. And we keep putting Justice off because we want to catch up with Disco.
Yeah.
But we'll get there.
We'll get there.
Justice ain't going anywhere. Justice ain't going anywhere.
The important part is we're building our back catalog for new members of the crew to come in and watch previously on, like Riker did on Encounter at Farpoint.
Yep. There you go. There you go.
Before we go, since this episode is about books and libraries and stuff, could you tell me a little bit? I'm a huge fan, but can you tell listeners, viewers, a little bit about your 2 books you published?
Oh, why?
Because they're behind me and they're 2 of my favorite books. And Andy Weir's not on the call right now.
Yeah, about 1 million years ago, I wrote and sold a book for the Quantum Leap novel series. It's right here behind me. It's called Foreknowledge, and
it's behind me also. Go. Yay!
It's behind Albie also, and it was one of the last of the official Quantum Leap novels. And I'll learn how to work this camera eventually. But it's just a standalone adventure set in the Quantum Leap universe. It's basically a standard leap and another plot that's also really cool. And you can find this on eBay or Amazon or wherever for the most part. If you do find it and I do see you, I will sign it.
Yay.
Don't you fret.
On the secondary market, it's actually one of the highest priced out of all the novels. And I think it's just because people that listen to you on different shows want your copy of your book. So it's crazy. It's one of those ones that has been artificially inflated, like on sites like Amazon and eBay.
And I happen to think it's because we were among the last 3 in the run of the official novel series. And they didn't publish as many of them because they were losing money.
Oh, so more rare, so more people have to fight
speculation over. On my part. Pure speculation on my part.
I know I wanted the complete series, even though I knew I wasn't going to read them all at the same time. I just wanted them all on the shelf so I could read them, at my leisure. So yeah, I could see that. Okay. Now the Seeker. I love the little like one-line elevator pitch you give about the Seeker.
Oh my God, the Seeker. The Seeker is how to describe the Seeker. Seeker is like sort of a horror time travel fantasy, and I wrote a short story based on the suggestion of a friend of mine. I haven't spoken to him in years. Randy, if you're listening, thank you. It was for an anthology, and she said, why don't you, but it had to be like 5,000 words or something like that. And the Seeker grew to be like 120,000 words by the time I was done with it. So I was sitting on the story. I said, what do I do with this story? I tried to sell it in many different places, but it's an odd size to sell. So just one year I decided, you know what, let me try to self-publish it. So I laid it out myself, and I had a friend do the cover art, and I put it up on Amazon. So you can get the Seeker as an ebook. You can get it as a paperback. You just go to Amazon.com and look for, either type in my name or type in the Seeker or D. Philippus. A lot of books are called the Seeker, I've found. But let me... this is behind the paywall. So
yeah.
There's the back. So there you go.
A time traveler, an invisible man.
An invisible man. So yeah, for those listening on the feed, time traveler, an invisible man, an ancient horror. Billingsley is a seeker with Truth, Truth, a time-traveling collective trying to find the answer to humanity's greatest mystery. Hot on the trail of a djinn that could give him the information he's looking for, Billingsley gets ripped from the time stream into a nightmarish pocket of reality where he could remain trapped for eternity. His only hope to find the djinn and finish his mission hinges on Griffin, an invisible thief with his own nebulous agenda. So the seeker sets out across the twisted landscape, discovering the horrific truth to the old adage, be careful what you wish for. So,
I read it 3+ times.
Yeah, well, I mean, everybody hates the Seeker. That's what I say about the Seeker.
Except for me.
People who read it, I don't know. I wrote it when I was trying to do like experiment with vocabulary and language, so it's a surprisingly dense read for a small book, but let's put it this way, the story did what I wanted it to do, and I don't care who likes it. I like it. So
and it's a huge accomplishment to get a book out there in the world, because all of us want to write a book, but who actually does it? Not too many.
Yeah, and I mean, I had already written the Quantum Leap book, and this was just something that I did on a lark that just turned into something bigger. So I said, what the hell? Let's get it out there, you know?
I was sucked in while we were in the cave in the beginning of the book. So it sucks you in. Yeah, I like to think of it like a time-traveling Indiana Jones. It's with crazy stuff going on. Like
crazy body horror. Yeah. A lot of body horror going on in this book.
But yeah, it's a great book.
Yeah, it's kind of a kitchen sink idea too. That's why I kept on growing, because I just kept on getting different images in my mind of things that he could encounter throughout the story. So it just grew and grew and grew.
Had a little bit of maybe the first National Treasure in it, where there's like some mysteries and things.
Well, yeah, I mean, I tried to have fun with the horror. I tried to have fun with the time travel. I tried to come up with sort of a unique premise for the time travel, and it just touched on a lot of different interests of mine. So
and time travel. I mean,
and great. Time travel.
Yeah, and it's cool how they do it and how it's non-linear in parts, maybe.
Yeah. So
yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. I'm proud to call you my friend, the published author.
Thank you, Albie, for asking me to promo my own work here.
Well, it's the best time to talk about it. Library time.
For those of you listening, please check them out. You can get the Quantum Leap book on Amazon. You can get the Seeker on Amazon. And if you happen to have either of them and we meet in a dark alley, it won't be your origin story. It will be it'll be your chance to get them signed by me. I'm a nice guy, even in a dark alley in a strange city.
Yeah. I'll be clutching my pearls.
Right. Please.
Yes. All right. So I'm excited to talk about Justice. I'm excited to talk about Lagrange Point.
I'm excited to talk about Just Us.
Yep. I find Lagrange Point very interesting title, because that's it has to do with orbits and suns and orbiting bodies and what is it? Three bodies, I think, the 3-body problem. So I don't know if this episode's going to be about that, but we'll see.
We'll see. I can't wait to discuss it with you in any event.
Hashtag science. So for Treksploration, I'm Albie.
And I'm Chris.
And we'll see you next time.